To succeed in law school, Mason Barney created his own innovative strategies for dealing with the environment.
Law school is all taught on the Socratic method, which means that you have a class of maybe 30 to 130 students. The teacher's up there, and the teacher asks questions that the students are then meant to answer, and that's how you learn. So, okay, what are the facts of this case? Mr. Barney, tell me the facts. Okay, I tell you the facts. Okay, Mr. Barney, what was the holding? Okay, why did the court hold that way? What does that have how does that implicate this case that we discussed 5 minutes ago? What I learned early on, to be able to do this, you have to read the cases. You have to know what the cases say. I couldn't get through that. I mean, we may have 200 pages of case law to read in 2 or 3 days, which just I can't do that. At the end of the day, at the end of the class, then you have a test, and that's your only grade. A 3-hour final exam, that's it. It's all written, it's all essay questions. So one of the things that I sort of learned early on was, well, wait a minute, if you raise your hand and answer the what do you think questions, the how does this case relate to that case questions, you don't ever get called on for the Mr. Barney, what are the facts questions? Which meant that I didn't necessarily have to read everything. I just had to skim through and understand what was the point of this case. And normally you can get that by reading the commentary around the cases or reading the one section of the case that is highlighted, but because you bought a used book and somebody else has already highlighted it. And so figuring out these ways of, I don't want to say cheating the system, but getting around the thing that I have the hard time with, what it also meant was that I was raising my hand in class every day. And so the teacher would end up knowing who I was because, oh, Mason must know what the case is all about. He's answering 5 questions on it already today. And so at the end of the year, what it also meant was that I went after class a lot and talked with my professors. Don't understand what this case is, or, okay, I'm agreeing with Justice Scalia. That can't be right. I never agree with Justice Scalia. I must not be understanding this case. And by building that interpersonal relationship, they knew who I was, and that helped enormously when they also were, I wasn't necessarily going to be the quiet guy in the back who they got picked on one day. It was also interesting because you have these one big test at the end of the semester, that's your entire grade, it's all essay written. I was tested right before law school. I went in and said, look, I need extra time on my tests, I need to be able to use a computer, and I need some sort of leniency on my spelling. Because I can't, I'm just not going to, in 3 hours, I'm expected to write 25 pages. I can't do that and have perfect spelling. It's just not conceivable. And so by the fact that all throughout the semester I'd been raising my hands, making myself known to the professor, when they got to my test and saw that my spelling was poor, they tended to ignore that because they knew Mason knows what he's doing. If he had more time, he would have spell checked, it would have been cleaner. Whereas I feel like if I had been the quiet guy in the back, well, I don't know, this point is kind of questionable, and he just didn't pay attention. So that sort of setting the environment and setting the expectations, I think, helped enormously.